about a few things that I'm going to just kind of run through in this presentation. So I think if you've got questions for me or Catherine as I'm going through this, we both know a lot about what we're going to talk about here. So certainly just about areas we've been around for a long time. We train recruiters and sourcers on how to use the internet to hire passive candidates. That's pretty much all I'll say about that. If you've got more questions about that, I'm really happy to answer that later on. But a little bit about what I want to talk about in the next few minutes. I just want to talk about sourcing or resourcing passive candidates and just give you some quick ideas. So I'd actually, quick show of hands, can you tell me who does this right now? Maybe as like 5 minutes of your job once a week, or as your job full-time? Who's resourcing for candidates? Okay, and for those of you, are there any of you in this room managing individuals or a team that would do this? Is that your role, maybe as an HR function? I just kind of wanted to get an understanding of the makeup of the room. And obviously, there's a lot of resources, and obviously, if you sat in on Andy's presentation earlier, or Matt's presentation, there's a lot of things going on in recruitment and resourcing and sourcing for candidates that are really changing the entire landscape of how we recruit. I mean, it used to be, and I've been in this game for a really long time, like truly when I found Monster the first time, I honestly had to fax them a job description. That's a true story. I was really excited about this site, you know. So years ago it was Monster, and then it was LinkedIn, you know, and then it was social media, and now it's Google. All of these things are definitely impacting how we hire, and how we find, and how we communicate with people or candidates or clients. So it's very crucial. But I just want a quick understanding, just kind of for my own education. How many of you right now are really relying on LinkedIn really heavily for advertising jobs and finding passive candidates? LinkedIn, primary tool? Okay, so that's pretty fair. I think there's a shift right now. There's companies that are sort of starting to move a little bit away from LinkedIn. I think it's going to be a key player for a long time to come. But I've been talking about LinkedIn since 2003. It's a tremendous resource. But my focus in this presentation for the next few minutes is using things other than LinkedIn. I am going to show you quick Boolean strings. I'm going to talk about two types of searches primarily: file type searches and X-raying. I think Andy actually mentioned this just a bit in his presentation. Very simple kind of search, very effective for extracting information. I don't care if you're not even recruiting candidates, it's just a good way to find information from the web. But most sites we talk about, like social media sites like Twitter, like even LinkedIn, even Pinterest, very, very easy to do some site searches or X-ray to extract information very quickly. And mobile recruiting, I'm not really going to touch on mobile recruiting too much, but other than to say that Matt was talking about it, and he had said that in the next 12 to 18 months or so, it's going to be huge, and I think it's probably going to hit us faster than that. So if you haven't gotten on that mobile bandwagon, it certainly is a crucial aspect to sourcing and recruiting. So like I said, I'm going to show you file type searches, X-raying, and then a couple of extra additional tools, a couple of search engines. Quickly, question for the group: how many of you use something other than Google as a search engine? What do you use? Bing. One person uses Bing. What about in the back? Ask. Excellent. Yeah, Teoma is another tool that is powered by Ask. So there are other search engines out there. And my point about it is that it's sort of like if you're going out to LinkedIn, or you're using a job board, like job site, and you go out to look for a candidate, and you just use Google, and you plug in the same kind of search that every other recruiter that's looking for that same candidate is using, and they're looking for them here in the UK, you sort of see the same results. So it's important to use more than one search engine. So I'll give you just a couple of resources towards the end of this presentation. I'm going to talk about these search strings. So Catherine knows this language. Some of you may know this language very well. But I'll try and break it down and make it very easy to quickly understand this. And I'm going to show you, first of all, our file type searches. You've been able to do these types of searches at search engines like Google, Bing, Ask for many, many years. And if you don't use them, they're good and they're very quick. So if you've got 5 minutes of your week to maybe find candidates or information or resources or business leads, these types of searches can be very impactful. They basically allow you to look for specific types of documents. So Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, PDF documents, whatever you might be looking for. So you use the document extension, XLS for an Excel spreadsheet, PPT for a PowerPoint, with the file type command. And that's pretty universally understood. You'd use the same command at Google as you would at Bing, as you would at Ask or Teoma, so it's translatable. basically then, whatever you're looking for. In the first example, I want to look for Excel spreadsheets that might necessarily be rosters or participant lists or attendee lists. Then I use some position titles, some locations. The second example is looking for PDF documents, looking for an org chart. And you know, in the States, we like to spell things with a Z. So if you change that organizational from an S to a Z, it can greatly impact the type of results that you get. Just depends on where you might be looking for results. The last one is looking for PDFs, but looking for email domains, so sort of targeting someone from HSBC, position titles. But essentially, this is what they look like. And I did use Google for the most part to do this. Can you guys see that? Is that kind of fuzzy, or is it just me? It could be that I'm totally jumping. At any rate, so all of the results that come back in this example, these are all Excel spreadsheets. And that's what I'm saying with that file type column command. I just want to see Excel spreadsheets. So depending on what line of business you're in, if you're sourcing or resourcing for candidates, to find an Excel spreadsheet of names can be wonderful. If you're in business development or sales, same thing. It just depends on what kind of information you're looking for. But essentially, I'm looking for participant lists. And I did all of these searches, I think just last week, where I just sort of screenshot all these searches. And the headhunter in me is, I still am fascinated by the amount of information that I can find for free on the internet after just a couple of quick searches. So in my headhunting days, I would have been very happy to find a list like this. And it's very quick, it's very easy to do this. So I was looking for an IT director and looking for someone that was in the States. And this is just a document that came back. I can save it, use it, do whatever I want with it. This is more looking for an org chart type document, which I think in the recruiting world, we all tend to sort of like to see org charts. Everything's plotted out and labeled and we find names. Just a slightly different search. I just said, look, I want to see PDF documents. I'd like to see one if it's called an org chart or an organizational chart. I did sort of narrow this down a little bit by including 2012. I wanted to see a more recent organizational chart, and then just some position descriptions. And when I did this search, I actually used google.ie, and I said I just wanted pages from Ireland. So this one came back from the Bank of Ireland, and again, just kind of structure, names, people under it. And I have to say that over the years, and I don't know, Catherine, if you've seen this as well, I've seen more org charts. Like a few years ago, it was kind of tough to find them. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just the types of documents that search engines are spidering from the web, but they seem to be a lot more abundant. So if you like org charts, it's certainly worth taking a look at.
Finding that the big conference attendee lists are less available.
Yeah.
We might see more available.
Yeah.
But then perhaps events, we're starting to almost curate our own lists of attendees on things like Twitter and social stuff as more people run their events, do things like Eventbrite, like this today, and that kind of curates the attendee list sort of on the behalf of the event organizer. So I think it's just, things.
It's just shifted, very much so. Like a few years ago, it was kind of difficult to find alumni lists here in the UK. You could find them in India, you could find them in Australia, you could find them in the States. And I think with the rise of social media, I think that's become a lot more popular here in the UK too. So just a shift in the way we kind of gather information and what's posted on the web. And then this is just a quick search to look for more PDF documents, but I was looking for email domains. And I did used to work in retained executive search, and there's a lot of calling into companies where I didn't know who the person was, but I knew that I needed someone in that particular company. I used to work a lot in the gold and copper mining industry, and call looking for chief metallurgists. I didn't know who it was. If I would have had resources that are available now, just to even target a company and their email domain and to look for position titles, very, very easy to do. So I was just sort of picking on HSBC. It's not an exact science, but a lot of these documents that come back, contain email addresses as well as web addresses. This is just one that came back, and it had names of people from all throughout HSBC in different locations. So HSBC Brazil, but there was also I was targeting HSBC in Australia, so I had my managing director there too. So again, names, titles, and a way to contact those people. So again, just quick ways to get at information. So again, if you don't have hours of your life to do this, you have 5 minutes to do this, it's a worthwhile search. And then one of the things that I've been talking about since I worked for AIRS for going on 13 years is X-raying. And it's a site search, basically. That's all it is. It's a very basic kind of search. Almost all search engines accept it. It is a very quick way to navigate pages from a particular website. So pretty much any website can be x-rayed. You can x-ray a company website, you can x-ray a university website, you can x-ray social media websites. But the command to do this is cite : and that will be true for Google, for Bing, for Ask, for Teoma, for lots of other search engines, and basically you just use it with the web domain. So in the examples that I'm going to quickly show you, there's some slight variation here. Like for one example, I'm showing you Saudi Aramco. Like I'd like to see a drilling engineer. I say to the search engine, cite : no space after that : SaudiAramco.com. All my results come from the website, hence cite : Saudi Aramco, but they also have to contain the phrase drilling engineer. So I'm hoping if I'm looking for a drilling engineer and I x-ray this company, I find names that maybe pop up near that position title that I can find some useful information. And then one of the types of searches that I think at AIRS we've been really doing quite a lot of lately have been top-level domain searches. So obviously here in the UK, you have org.uk, ac.uk for academic institutions, nhs.uk. In the States, we would typically have .com or .edu for educational institutions. So if I wanted to look at pages in Germany, I could say just DE. I used to work in Belgium, and I would just look for results that would come back from .be for Belgium, so only pages from that country. But you have a nice way to sort of define that here in the UK. And if I wanted to look at organizational pages that have a quantitative analyst, I can do that. Or if I want to look at all commercial websites here in the UK, I can sort of switch that off a little bit. But again, a top-level domain, a little bit more broad type of search. So this is my Saudi Aramco example where I'm looking for a drilling engineer. You only have about 14 results that come back, but you can sort of hopefully see they sort of highlight drilling engineer. And most of these results have names next to them. And this was just one that came back from the website, and I have Hassan, he's a drilling engineer, kind of a little bit of a bio. But for me as a recruiter, that's a gold mine. That's really great information. At least I know who it is, I know where they work, I know, and I can probably do something with that. Next two examples, like I said, these are more top-level domain x-rays. So all of these results, I don't really care where they come from, but they have to come from, and you can see this very well, they have to come from an org.uk. That's what my focus is there, so I wanted to see if I could find pages that have quantitative analysts, maybe somebody who's in the banking, finance world. Then I sort of subtracted some keywords that might pull back job postings or vacancy announcements, so minus jobs, minus vacancies. And then I get some results, and this was just one that came back from a website called orangepeel.org.uk. What orangepeel.org.uk is, maybe somebody else can enlighten me, but I found this guy, Alexander Church, and he works Barclays as a quantitative analyst. So, again, a CV that for whatever reason is posted out there. Am I doing that kind of broad type of search to focus on anything coming back from that kind of website? I can find those results. I did find more results actually focusing on a co.uk. And again, just different types of profiles. I get, some things that are, personal websites, some things that come back from, where people have just created, like this person, Christopher Gerard Oakley, he has his own, his own site, and they come from a co.uk, and they're out there, so they're not behind a firewall. This is whatever this result was that came back. It was a presentation. And I have Eli Cleffish, who's a quantitative analyst at HSBC. I think I'm picking on HSBC here a little bit too much in this presentation, but it's from June of last year, so it's a little bit older. My hope would be that Eli's still at HSBC. If not, hopefully still quantitative analyst, so I could do something with that. So any questions about those top-level domain searches, quick x-rays? I'm going to show you just a few more. Okay. More ideas for x-raying now. Social media sites are so easy to target with an x-ray. So any of you in here absolutely opposed to Twitter? Like, you will never ever tweet anything in your entire life. Just, okay, there you go. See? there's got to be one person in the room that hates it for whatever reason, and that's totally fine. You don't ever have to tweet anything. But you do, or you should know, how to get at information from Twitter. I don't have an example of it, but Twitter is an extremely easy website to x-ray. This cite : twitter.com. And plug in some keywords, maybe a location like London or Manchester, or whatever you want to focus on, and you can pull back profiles of people that do tweet, that do talk about whatever it is that interests them, and you can find their information that way. So most of these sites, like Pinterest, even Facebook, Facebook, which sometimes is easy to x-ray, sometimes it isn't easy to x-ray. It has been easy in the last couple of months, it just got difficult. They just changed their security all the time. But they can be very easily targeted with this technique. So I'm just going to quickly run through some, like x-raying Google+. Great website to x-ray. Highly recommend that if you're going to do it, you use Google as your search engine. You just have to know that it's plus.google.com. So you say site plus.google.com. It will only pull back results from that site. Then I said social media consultant in London. Pinterest. I've run this search, this is pretty much the same search for the last few months. Pinterest actually really blew up, I think probably back in March, April of this year, where everybody was kind of curious about it. But every time I do this search string, I find maybe like 50 to 75 to 100 more people that match that query every time. So what that's saying is that there are still more people using Pinterest, creating profiles. They have a lot of companies that are marketing themselves, and they'll say, meet our staff, and they have all their staff listed, and it's on Pinterest, and they're photos of people. So that's a viable site. Top-level domain, .me, that's a really interesting domain. It's, is it Macedonian? What is the country? Because I'm jet lagged, I can't remember what .me is the country domain for. It's a country domain, but it's also being purchased as kind of a social media domain. So you've got like talent.me, about.me. So you have a lot of personal profiles on a .me domain. So you could do kind of a top-level domain, and that's just a really basic x-ray. You could do lots of different things. But you can also combine searches. So if I said I just want to see pages from the UK that are PDFs, you can do those types of things too. So you can combine searches. No worries. So this is the Google Plus example where I'm only pulling back results from, you can see plus.google.com. And I said social media consultant, and I said London. So it's not that they're all going to be people that are here in London. Maybe somebody will say, I attended the Summer Olympics in London, so it's not quite perfect. But a lot of these profiles will actually be of people here. But in this case, this gentleman says, I'm a freelance online peer social media trainer, social media consultant based in London. And then the beautiful thing about most of these sites is that they all cross-link to other sites. So if somebody has a Google Plus profile, chances are they're on LinkedIn, or they have a blog, or they have a Twitter profile too, so you can usually find more information connected and dig a little bit deeper, get some more details about a person. The next example is Pinterest, and like I said, just a pretty basic search. I only want to see results from Pinterest that has sales manager, and this is, like I say, one example. I've seen plenty of good examples. It's not going to say that if I'm looking for an international salesperson or sales manager that I'm going to find hundreds of them on Pinterest, but you may find somebody here on Pinterest that you don't find anywhere else, or you don't find on a job board, or you don't find on LinkedIn. So the point about this is just to sort of diversify where you're looking for information, where you're targeting people. So this came back with all these people from this company called LabTech Software, and this was, I think, Meet Greg Lau, our worldwide channel sales manager, which is why this particular result came back. And I'm good. I know who he is, I know what his title is, I know where he works, I can use that. This is the top-level.me example, and you pull back lots of things. I think I have a couple of results here. This is just one that comes from an about.me page. This person is, he's the country manager at eHarmony, so I thought he would be kind of interesting to put up here as an example. But profile about himself, and then also his LinkedIn page, his Twitter page, so all that's connected, but that .me domain is really important right now. And then this was a person who had his name registered on that .me domain. So again, a lot of personal profiles and the value of looking at a site like this. So his blog and his About Me page, and just talking about what he does. So last one that I'm showing, or it's not the last one, yeah, I guess it is the last example of X-raying here, but combining an X-ray with file type, I just want to see results from the UK. Says it's /UK. It's a little bit different than saying pages from the UK. Pages from the UK will look for an IP address from the UK, so you may pull back .com pages or other types of domains. In this case, I just wanted to see results that came from a .uk, just a different way to focus it. And I looked for PDFs that said confidential. I do this. You probably do this. Maybe not a lot of you will do this, but you can certainly find this. And I have to put this example in here because it's too funny. Because, well, there's security guys, and this is confidential. So anyway, my point is that you never know what you're going to find, but it is a very quick way to sort of unearth information very quickly. But last thing, and I'll wrap up here. I think I'm pretty good on my time. Just a few more search tools. So getting away from those x-rays and file types, I wanted to show you etools.ch, which is a meta search engine that comes from Switzerland. It looks at 13 different search engines simultaneously, so if you're looking to cover a lot of territory very quickly, it's a good one to take a look at. Has anybody heard of it, or do you use it currently? It's really flexible, and it takes some big search strings. So any of these search strings that I've shown you, it will accept those as well. It looks at Google, Bing, Bleco, quite a few different individual search engines to cover some territory. Yatedo is a people search engine from France. This is my international part of the presentation. So Yatedo is from France, and it's just a people search engine that scrapes profiles of individuals from the web. So it scrapes a lot of LinkedIn profiles, as you said you were looking at it. It pulls some LinkedIn profiles, but it also scrapes biographical information from the web. Quick, easy.
But even those LinkedIn profiles, I was finding it was some which were different to the ones I was getting, you know, from my LinkedIn network and from searching Google. So
you like it?
Yeah.
You like it?
Variety.
Totally straightforward. No, you don't even have to know fancy Boolean logic or anything in order to use Yatedo. You just have to know about it. And it's free for now, so I'd say use it while you can, because a site like that usually becomes fee-based. And then the last thing I'll show you is a search engine from Russia called Yandex. Is anybody using Yandex? Heard of it? It's been around for a very long time, but they've just really started to expand, and they're opening offices around the world. And so I think you're going to maybe see a little bit more about Yandex. It accepts some slightly different commands than, say, Google does, but the nice thing about it is that you find different results, and you're not finding quite as commercial results as you would see at Bing or at Google. So it's a good one to know about. But this is etools.ch, and I did a big, huge, long Boolean string, sorry about that. Looking for attendees, but this is really what I want to show you, that it looks at Ask, it looks at Bing, Bleco, Google, Teoma, just different sites simultaneously, and it does accept some complex Boolean logic. It gives you an option like where you can preview a result without clicking into it. You can click on preview and it'll sort of open a little bit of a snippet up and show you. I like that about it. It saves me some time. And then quality results. So this actually came from cabinetoffice.gov.uk, but whatever I was looking for an enterprise architect. So I have someone from Capgemini contact information. Not bad. I think it's a really good search engine to take a look at if you want to save some time. This is Yatedo. Again, very, very basic interface. You don't have to know a lot of fancy searches. They just cleaned up their interface. They used to have lots of individual search boxes, but now you just pretty much plug in a search. And this is what it pulls back. I think originally they started to look for, it's been around for a couple of years, they sort of would focus on looking for famous people. So they still have this option where you can look for famous people. So if you want to look for famous people, you can certainly do that. I just want to look for people that are financial controllers. So it sort of highlights somebody who might be a little bit more famous than the rest of the poor folks down here. But at any rate, most of these are pretty spot on, and some of them you see will, like, they'll pull up their LinkedIn profile, but then some are just kind of pulled back. It just pulls in pieces of information. But no pain at all with this site. You just have to know about it, use it, see what you can find. And then Yandex. Like I said, this is the last thing I'll leave you with, but Yandex is just a search engine like Google, like Bing. Some slightly different characters. So instead of using an or to say attendee or participants, you use the pipe symbol, which is a programming character. It used to be the only way at Google that you could say or as well. And on different keyboards, if you're using a European keyboard or a UK keyboard or a US keyboard, it's going to be in a different location, but it's usually above the backslash key in the line. So you use that as an or. It does some things like, for example, file type, the one that I was showing you earlier, file type : XLS. Instead of saying file type, you have to say mime : So my guess is that as Yandex gets more popular and people start using it, it will shift over. Lots of search engines had their own language and what they wanted, and then they sort of fell in line with what everybody else did. But for now, it does some really nice searches. So this is essentially me looking for like profiles or a CV, but I have to use the pipe symbol. And then this is looking for a PDF document that says hopefully a CV. So a slightly different structure on things. But it's just a very clean search engine. The results are, and in my experience from using it, very good quality results. So this was a drilling engineer that came back, and then this was just an example of a PDF search. So all the results, I say mine, PDF, all the results are PDF documents, and then Tom Elliott.